So obviously, when you were kind of heading into the process for making this album, you had the new lineup. Does that affect your mindset that you have going into the album?
Massively, yeah, hugely. It's like kind of they brought like a whole new energy to the band that we needed. Agree with me. And at first it was obviously like, what the fuck are we gonna do? This band, it kind of felt like we were scared about what everyone would think with two of the original members leaving. But the band's just been in so many different. It started as a three with just me, Higgy, and Wolfgang, who no one even knows about, and then it was Cav, and then it was James and stuff like. So it's always, to me, it's always been a kind of constantly evolving. But I think we were scared, but now we've got this band together. It's a whole new dynamic, which is really fun, which is we needed.
I think one thing that was really good was with Robbie and Tom coming in. It was obviously their first album with Swim Deep, so it brought a lot of excitement to the whole process. And I think that sort of translated to the music quite well, because there's like a lot of energy in it and a lot of sort of positive feeling. So that was one thing that stood out for me, I think.
Does it feel like a different band now at all with the two new members, or does it still feel like the same old band?
Yeah, I think at the core, the kind of the values and stuff are very much Swim Deep, and like the attitude and that are quite. It's just the same. It feels like we're a little gang, which is what Swim Deep's always felt like. So in that way, yeah, but it is just a different band. It's always kind of been shifting into different bands, as in like our sound has always progressed and members have joined and gone. So yeah, it is different, but the voice is still the general kind of voice is still the same.
I feel like the heart of it is still the same. Like it's still Swim Deep, the music, like. The people, there's still that same thing right in the middle. It's just like you've got some new clothes on.
Getting a new liver, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can lose a liver, can't you?
You can get a liver transplant.
Can you lose a kidney?
You can lose a kidney, I think. Anyway.
I sell mine.
You mentioned at the start of there about like the values and kind of attitudes. What sort of values and attitudes do you think make up Swim Deep and are kind of representative of you?
Kind of like blind, stupid ambition. We're all in it together. Like everyone's kind of jumping off that cliff together. I think that's one of the main things, that if the people around you believe in you as much as you believe in them, then you're going to do something good. Because otherwise, if people start to kind of like fall on the wayside, then you kind of start to doubt it all. So I think that one's one of them. And making people feel good with music is a massive one that we've always thought from the start. We wanted to be a band that made people feel good, because we wanted to feel good from listening to music too. So I guess and just relate to people as well. I think fundamentally we want to be a band that people can listen to and relate to and feel listened to.
And did this album that you've decided, did that come on your own label? Is that the new thing that you've started up?
Yeah, it's like for a distribution.
We've been working with Cooking Vinyl, who've given us our own imprint, so in a way it's a bit like we've got a bit of support without having the same sort of baggage as you do when you're signed up to we were previously on Sony, which is a major label which comes with a lot of it works in both ways. There was lots of good things and also a lot of more difficult things, but we had a lot more freedom on this record, I think, especially because it was completely self-funded. So somehow we managed to make a record like.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because at the same time, I think creatively we always had the freedom with major labels. I guess the cliche is that you don't get your own. They control what music you make, but like luckily for us, fuck off.
Hey, we asked the questions here.
It's only it's only album 2 members. And
this is our tour photographer.
What was I saying? The kind of like the freedom that we got with having money on a major was great, because we could do lots of different stuff and make more elaborate videos and stuff. But we realised that actually sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes the best videos are the ones that you struggle and make on a shoestring. But creatively, it's always been the same. They wouldn't have let us make Mothers if we were creatively choked on a major label. But it feels great. I've got like like a WhatsApp group with like our digital guy and like the head of the label and stuff, and it's just easy to get something done when you're on an independent label. So it's nice that they've given us the shot to do pop committee and make our own label.
I think one thing that was different though was making this record. We didn't have someone like chaperoning, you know, what's going to be on the album, what this might need to sound like, or what might need to be a single. We'd actually finished writing and actually recording the album, and then we had the product, and then they were like, yeah, we want to work with this. So, you know, the creative side of it was completely done without any sort of overhead pressure or anything like that. So that's one of the sort of more freeing aspects it's had on this record.
Yeah.
And although, like you're saying, you had complete control of the entire album, did you go in with a blueprint? Did you kind of have intentions of what you wanted the album to be before you started working on it, or?
I think we all wanted to make a pop record. I think we were all really kind of obsessed about the perfect pop record. At least I am anyway, and I know Cav is. But like we wanted to make a pop record, but we wanted to be a real record where people could relate to and hear real stories and stuff, and a kind of like a hearty record. And we didn't feel like we needed to experiment or anything on this one, but the stuff that we're naturally quite experimental about comes through in these pop songs. I think we were thinking about the way that the emotion is coming through in every song and the way we're playing it. Like if a guitar that we recorded on a demo sounded emotional and we couldn't recreate that emotion that we recorded, we didn't care about just using that kind of shit demo version and putting it on the kind of like a hi-fi version of it. So yeah, I think it was emotional.
In terms of like a blueprint, I think we didn't. The reason why the album really took so long to get to the point when we were recording it is because we didn't really know what it was gonna be for ages. So we actually tried a lot of different sort of directions and stuff before we arrived at sort of the sound of what the finished album is. So it was quite like that's why it kind of took a long time to reach that point. But once we started having the songs that are on the album, we were like, oh yeah, shit, this is it, and that just came naturally after that.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick up on one thing you sort of mentioned there, where you said this was a place where people could come to hear real stories on the album, because that's kind of how it begins when you have this spoken word.
Yeah.
That story that you've got there, when did that take place? When was that set? Was that all?
That was set. I kind of set that from when I was 18 years old, and it was just a real day in the life of what I was doing then. But that was the first record from this album where everyone kind of emailed me back immediately and was like, yeah, this is a great song, and this is going to be one that we're going to take forwards, kind of thing. So that's what made me start really believing in this record, when I finally had that song that the rest could kind of like live up to. And it was like Cav said something as well. He was like, Cav didn't like that song at first. He didn't like the spoken word. I think he thought that people would say it sounded like the Streets too much, and there's too much of a connection. And I get that because it's spoken word, and he made it quite iconic. But he said about that song, he said that was kind of what he thought Swim Deep really sounded like. He said it reminded him of that kind of kid sat on the bed in the King C video or whatever. Like he thought that was really. So I think that the kind of connections between where that came from, that song was quite similar to the whole strain of Swim Deep over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and I think that like Ozzy said, that was sort of the first song on this record that was written that ended up being on the record. So that sort of set the benchmark really, and the reason it resonated with everyone was because it sounds like Swim Deep, but there's also channels a bit of what we were doing on Mothers, of the whole like 90s rave stuff, because it sampled is it Rosala,
yeah.
Sampled that, and there's also the whole aspect of it being like a choir, which is what we were listening to at the time, stuff like Madonna, Like a Prayer, and that kind of 80s pop music.
What's that guy, the church guy, fucking fuck, like a ship, it's called, that song.
Pastor
T.L. Barrett, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thing that I listened to like over and over and over again, and it was just that kind of like rushing choir with these loud tambourines and stuff. But yeah.
So it was like what we'd done in the past, but also there was a new element, which is then what we knew. That was why we knew it was right, and that was a good direction because it was doing Swim Deep, but also doing something a bit different.
Yeah. And looking to the opposite of spoken word, obviously you're singing. Do you think that's changed over the last 6 years? Do you think your voice has developed?
Oh yeah, it has. I can sing now. I think I can sing now. I like singing. I'd love to be able to sing really well. I'd love to, but I also think if I could sing pitch perfect and I was like sound like Shawn Mendes or something, it wouldn't exactly suit Swim Deep. But I feel like I'm not ruling it out. I don't think it's gonna happen. But I think my voice has just got more confident, and so. But I like doing the spoken word thing because it reminded myself that my voice can do different things. There's not much falsetto on this album. As the second one was, I was listening to a lot of female singing. I think I just thought that was the only way to kind of emulate that. But this record, I've found my voice again, I think.
And I remember when we were touring the second record, because there was so much falsetto on that record, I remember you finding a lot of it.
Yeah.
You were saying a lot of it was really difficult to do live because you had to constantly be singing in that higher register, which is...
Yeah, it was almost like when we wrote that record, Mothers, I really wasn't thinking about doing it live, and it kind of bummed me out a bit, but I feel like I've definitely found my voice again on this record.
Yeah, so what you were saying there about singing live on the last record, that started to get tough. How closely does this record sound live to what it does recorded? How's it been going down when you've been playing it live on the studio so far?
It's getting there. It's going to take a while for it to be amazing. I think these songs, it'd take a tour, I reckon, to get a song to the level of where we're like, yeah, this is smashing. But I think it sounds really good live. I think
a couple of the tracks we've been playing them for over a year now. So
yeah, like To Feel Good. Yeah.
To Feel Good and Sail Away we first played like last
Yeah.
September. But yeah, like Ozzy says, like as soon as you start playing stuff over and over again live, you just gradually tweak things, and now I think it's at a good place. So this tour's definitely sort of a good time to experience the album because we've been on tour for 10 days now. So everything's sort of falling into place a lot better. We're feeling a lot better with the set flows. Like,
yeah, I was quite anxious about playing. We play like 5 new ones in the set, and so like 5. We played about 5 off the first one, 4 off the second, and 5 off this one. And I was quite anxious that was too many at the start because I thought, as a punter myself, like I don't really. I go to gigs, say for example like MGMT, I want to hear their hits, but then I realised I actually want to hear their album songs as well, and I was quite anxious about it, but the songs have just been going down so well that I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's been amazing having some, the album's been out 8 days, and people are already like singing their fucking hearts out, singing the lyrics back at us, which is something you don't actually expect, having them only heard it like 8 days.
Yeah, I was talking to Cav about this, and I don't think I felt that like I'm feeling it on this one, on the second album. I think that's probably because it was an experimental album. There wasn't as many like obvious pop songs and sing-alongs, but I think that's what's fun about this one is that we've written songs that people are really like harking back to us quite loud, and I feel like I didn't think about that feeling for a while, so it's been like 5-6 years since I felt that, so it's been really like it's been affirming basically.
Has what makes a good song for you changed? Because obviously each record is so different. Has with that come what makes a good song for you changed? What do you think makes a good song now?
There's one thing that I think is quite funny. When we made the second album, our producer Ollie, who actually mixed this album, he
did like our first songs at King City as well.
Oh yeah, of course. And he was really into. He was always telling us about like the Eurovision Song Contest and how much he loved ABBA, and we were like, ABBA. Like none of us were into ABBA at the time, but now we all fucking love ABBA. So
yeah,
and that kind of pop music. So it's like I think as you get older and your music interests sort of change or expand, then you have different perceptions of what makes a song so good. I
think what makes a good song is the first lyric being the best lyric of the song. A song that makes you forget all your troubles, and that has a chorus that you never want to stop singing. And I don't think that's changed since I was 18. Maybe I just didn't know it when I guess I started songwriting when I was like 14, but I don't think back then I just thought if I could write a Yellow by Coldplay, I'll be sound. But I don't think I ever thought about it. That's the beauty of being so young, is that you don't question everything that you think of, and I think that's why you never write the same music year after year, because the filters just build up, and you're thinking, what's he gonna think? Well, they're gonna think, what's she gonna think? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? And like before, you just sit down and you play something, and it might be less mature, which makes it sound a bit more not credible, I think, to some people's ears. But I think it's a lot more funner. But I mean, I've enjoyed kind of like growing up through songwriting. It's just it gets different every day, and that's what keeps it so exciting.
Yeah. And to round it off and just finish the interview, what's your proudest moment so far with Swim Deep?
Getting to the third album and not having broken up like so many other bands do. I think that's a real. I think it's a real achievement to not have fallen by the wayside as so many of our friends and peers have. So it feels really proud to have a third album out for sure, especially not being with a major label anymore.
I think mine is proving to myself and my parents, and I mean they always believed in me, so making them proud, but also proving to people that you don't have to kind of you can do something. I mean, I'm not saying I'm making a massive living out of it, and none of us are, and it is really hard, but I think just proving to myself and us that we can make music and not have to get jobs that we don't want to get, and just do something that we really love and feel like we can make a difference in.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, nice one.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.